Hey there everyone, Foxcat Gaming 2 here today, and I am going to be playing a 3D parkour free-running type game. But here's the thing I want to point out. If you are on the App Store and you get any apps that are asking for your location or your storage, always deny. Unless if it's one that you trust, like Minecraft, that actually only needs access to your files to save things. Anyway, so yes, I have played this already. I just completed this one called Towers. I am not going to be doing that one right here because that took me hours. Granted, without recording, meaning I had plenty of lag, took me a long time to do, so I am not going to be doing towers. I am only going to be doing roofs and any others that I find. Now, the goal, basically get from point A to point B while doing the core. Point A is the entrance to the map, point B is the exit. So, yeah. And I think I just got an advertisement, maybe? Don't know. Doesn't normally take this long. Never heard this music before. So anyway, it is a first-person runner. Pretty cool. Didn't notice that I was playing a girl, apparently. Just listen to that. Yeah. Don't know what's going on. Every time I gotta do something. Not sure what's going on. Hold on. And I am back. Okay. This does not work when you are not recording, and when you are recording, apparently. Anyone know of any screencast type thing that allows me to play a game on a computer, or on a tablet or something, while having it record on a computer? Something, anyone? Yep. When you know it start working, please let me know. Okay, so the game is called Parkour Go. That's good to know. Anyway, it's normally this smooth, maybe smoother, and I'm not supposed to be able to walk around down here, I don't think. What is going on? I think it froze. I think it froze. A lot. Saw the recorder go to... See you guys in another game. And by another game, I mean Iyan 3D for another tutorial, I guess. Sorry, I went to go click another game, and I realized Parkour Go and Minecraft are the only games I basically have ignored that one before. for the last one because that one's for Anxious Cynics weekly compilation. Yeah. So what I'm gonna do in this one is give a walk cycle tutorial. Actually, no. I think most important to go with first is actually lighting. So let's go over here and let's add in a light. And what I do, okay, is I click the light, or I tap the light, and it shows this. Now I'm going to go over here to options on the side where you see that, and it'll pull up this. Alternatively, what I like to do is I just hold down on the screen until this pops up. And then here I can change the color just by dragging my finger along. So let's see, this is going to be the first point, so I want it to be slightly tinted with yellow or blue, depending on the mood. I'm going with a light blue. The reason you never want to do specifically white is because the sunlight isn't perfectly white. And so the distance, that's for when it's a sphere, how much distance it will cover. And then the shadow darkness allows you to see, the more I move the line, the more you see a shadow. Now, what I like to do is have a really dark shadow, but and this will apply to everything that has a shadow. But if I really wanted, I can make it there be no shadow, faint shadow, or I could, actually I'm not even sure, I haven't really tried it yet. But yeah, so you always want to make sure that this light is where the sun is coming from, and this light is always the same, so that it kinda, you know what, that's a little too blue. Maybe I might want to go a little lighter than that. So let's just go with a faint blue. Yeah, there we go. So you see this, and then you always want those lights to be facing the same way, because the first light is basically the shadow, and the second light is the actual light source. Now, what I also like to do is add a light facing another way. So I come here, and what I normally do is just turn it completely white and set it to directional, that way, and then I click on rotate, and I just rotate it around until it gets there, or maybe slight angle. And now if I come to this side, you'll see that it is lit up just a little, but maybe I might want it to be like that. Basically, with animation, have you guys ever heard of the 3-point light? What it is, okay, is you have a light source coming in from one direction, then you have a second dimension, and then the third one is like from the back. And I normally use, because I can only be allowed to 5, I normally use all 5 by adding 4, but I'm going to try something real quick, and that's just turn it all the way, turn it to directional, and you see the more layers you add, the brighter the image. And I'm actually going to rotate this one to cover his back. and it will always be lighter than the main side. The main side will always be the brightest. And let's say you also want the underside of the character to have no true darkness. Well, what I recommend doing is actually using like this counts these two right here, so the main one and the second one count as one. This one would be the second, and this one would be the third light. But then when it comes to the third one, it's sometimes hard to get the right position. Actually, I think that one does pretty good, and then you can, since this is the free version, you can have one more that covers, or you can have one that is used as something else. If you look, even for me, this tiny little guy down here, I am also affected by the light on all sides. So if I just come around to the back here, you will see that the light source is also getting me. But apparently my character is not big enough to actually deserve a shadow. And also, one other thing that I forgot to include, I believe, if you come here and remember in the last one how I was showing the texture smooth, when dealing with Minecraft stuff, because it's all pixelated, you want to turn that off. And now if you look at the scene, it's a lot more detailed. See, I'll show you with this gravel, so remember what that looked like? And here's what it looks like now. See, it's a little blurrier, it's less detailed and stuff, so always make sure to turn the texture smoothing off, because you don't want a blurry texture. So, now that I've got that, you know what? It's gonna be good to start off with how Iyan deals with keyframes. So let's say I go over here, and on this final scene, this is gonna take place over the course of a second. Let's say I have him let's have him look down, and so what that basically means is it's gonna take 1 second for him to go from this, and he's just slowly gonna drop down. Now if I wanted, let's say I wanted that to be a little faster, I would actually I prefer going 8 frames, so I'd go 1, 8, 16, 24. But let's say I want him to look down really, really fast. Well, all I'd have to do is position his head to be straight like this. It's, yeah, one disclaimer I should actually put at the beginning of the video, or I probably did, but I want to mention it just in case. This is a lot like Blender and Minimator in a lot of ways, so if you watch any of those animation tutorials, you'll basically already be able to master this. The only differences are if you want to add your own models. I personally, I'm just gonna show you this. I have already imported my own models, and some of these I downloaded, some of these I tried to create. So, for instance, if I go with this I made myself, and is actually a dragon, and if you guys would like a tutorial on how to make your own custom models, I'll try. I actually need to try remaking the dragon because its texture isn't right. But let's say I added in this. Now this is a car, and I've made all of these models using an app called D3D Sculptor. Now it is confusing because texture copies every couple of vertices or polys, and basically what that means is if I went here and I clicked, let's say I clicked on TNT, you'll see that it doesn't actually appear the way I might want it to. And it's especially apparent when it comes to texturing the models myself, because I can make my own custom models and they have their own texture too. So for instance, for this car, I actually have this texture that I made myself. It's got a window, it's got lights. The black down there is actually cloned from, or no, the black right there is actually meant to represent a door, but I couldn't really figure it out. Then I got the back of the car, I got the top, and I got the bottom. Anyway, so I just click cancel if I don't want to add that. Just wanted to get that out of the way. I know I'm getting sidetracked, but it's just so much I want to do right now, and I just can't bring myself to stop. So anyway, keyframe, right? So I put it so he's looking straight until frame 20, and then he's gonna glance down. So basically what that's gonna look like is this. He's basically, you know what? Also, you'll notice that the camera here has its own preview window, so this is what the camera is going to see. So I would advise moving the camera to where you want it, and then you can change the size by tapping the little screen. But if I just do this, you'll see that he looks down. Now you'll notice that the screen kind of closes out before he actually looks down, and you know what? Actually, because of how dark his face has gotten, I'm gonna quickly add in a light, and I'm actually going to have it, so this is basically the final light I can add to the scene, and I'm actually gonna have this one appear just about a little like a dark, so it's not too bright, but to where it actually would represent an actual shadow. Now, you'll see that kind of adds too much of a glow to him, so the darker it is, the less of an impact it actually makes. So let's say I have it be like this, and if I fast forward to the last scene, actually, you know what? Keyframing also works with lights. So if I have this be completely white up until this same frame, actually don't actually want it to be completely white. I want it to be kind of like the first color used. So if I just do that, and then I go here and I kind of make it have like a dark, like a, let's say, well, I mean, I could go and do kind of a yellow tint instead. Now what it's gonna look like is it's gonna start off normal, and when he looks down, it's gonna, hold on, I think that might be a little too much, so let's actually rotate this upward. Yeah, and really quickly, let's say for him, what I want to have happen, what I'm gonna actually do, what am I gonna do? Let's say I want him to actually, back here in the first frame, I want him to be turned around, or saying him, even though it's meant to be me. Let's say I want me to be turned around, and I'm kind of looking at this as a metaphor right now, because he is obviously way better at animation than I am currently, though that's gonna change pretty soon. And he actually, I'll probably leave a link to his channel in the description, but I just noticed his character doesn't have a beard on him, or does it? I don't know. So, I'll leave a link to his channel, or you can just search for Anxious Cynic. I believe that's how you pronounce it. But anyway, let's say I want it to be, I'm walking, like, I'm standing right about here, and I just want to slowly be walking away. Now, I have already some pre-made animations. Unfortunately, I have no way to give them to you guys. So what I'm going to do, and also, one last thing I want to mention. If you speak Spanish, please try not to comment on my video, because I do not speak Spanish. I do not speak any other language other than English. So, if you have something to say to me, please say it in English. I'm just saying that because, yeah. So let's say I want it to be to where, by this frame, I am taking a step like this. So let's say I just have the arm go out about there, this arm. Now both arms and legs are gonna bend the same way, but let's say I want it to be to where I'm just barely taking a step. And also, yeah, that is the problem, where it will just randomly jump. Okay, one last thing I gotta do is move the scene to where it's like I'm actually standing on it. So what I normally do is I go until the feet start getting buried, then I move it down, and now I'm standing on the scene. Ooh, wait a second, that means the scene's gonna move up. So what I want is to move it, and it only works if you view from the side, but not in the ground, because then you can't see the ground. So let's say this scene, I want to be taking a step, so I grab this joint, and I move it back, and I kind of do a tiny rotation right there. And let's say I have it to where it's the same, but this time this leg, and let's say I've moved forward about 2 pixels, I'd say. If we go and we look at this, you'll notice I start moving instantly. It's kind of slow. So how I fix that is basically every single joint that you want to move ahead of time, you want to go to that frame that it happens in. And quite honestly, yeah, 8 frames. Keep in mind that the faster you're moving and the bigger the movement, the more frames you're gonna want to space out. So for simple walking, it should be about 8 frames per movement. So let's say you're in a regular standing 1 foot out, 1 foot back, 1 arm forward, 1 arm back pose. You want to go 8 frames from that to the transition where, yeah. And also, keep in mind, you gotta move the character to be in the same location. Otherwise, you're gonna have some problems. So, about there. So I'm trying to line this up as much as possible. And what I like to do is, anyway, so let's say I'm standing still and I need this arm to be down slightly like that, and slightly like this. And so now what's gonna happen is when I click play, you're gonna see that I don't start moving until that scene. Now when it comes to actually getting the cycle down, basically what I want to have happen next is I want this foot to stay right where it is. So I kind of want to move the character over to that line, and then I want this to be like, well, sometimes it doesn't register where you're clicking. And then what I can do from here, bend the leg back just slightly, because when you're walking, you're not going to have your knee be bent the same amount. And what I like to do is have it to where the arm actually stretches to be straight at this, like mostly straight, not completely, at this passing point. And you always want the legs to be going in opposite directions. So now, if we take a look at this, you'll see that it actually looks normal. Now, I'm gonna show you guys really quickly. You can add 1 frame, you can add 24, and you can add 240. So, to put this into time perspective, 1 frame is a point of a second. Like, let's see. Let's say there's 24 frames in every second. So that would mean that 1 second is 100 milliseconds, right? So let's say we divide 100 by 24. Wait, 100 divided by 24. Well, 25 times 4 is 100. I guess that would be just over 4 frames, or 4, like 1/4 of a second. I don't know, I don't know. Anyway, so 240 frames is equivalent to adding 10 seconds. So if I did that, right now I'd be adding up to basically 11 seconds. And so I'm gonna click 24 right here, and that'll bring me up to 48. And so I'll talk about other stuff like what I like to do to make it look as though a character is holding an object, because that is one downside about this, is you cannot parent items. But until then, oh yeah, I'm back out to save. So until then, I'll see you guys in the next one. Wait. If you are still here, I doubt many of you are, but if you are, please note that the question mark icon up in the top actually shows what everything does. So the plus is add. This is which view. So if I wanted to view from the front, from the left, from the right, from the back. I don't really use this. Here's from the bottom, and then there's the top. So this is just more like, let's say you do something and it puts you clear out here and clear down here. All you have to do is click this and click front to be brought back to the middle. And so the eye is like settings and stuff. These two arrows down here are an undo and redo. Sorry you can't really see. I'll try to add in touch points. But rotate will allow you to rotate. Move will be move. Scale will shrink and expand. Export, that is finally working for me once again. So I will be rendering some videos soon. And that just basically saves the scene to your device to upload it to YouTube or social media or something like that. Options I've already shown you. I'll be showing you the animation tab next. The add I've already showed you in my objects and play. Those are just okay. The my objects one just shows you every object in the scene at that moment. Okay, so I'm not sure if it actually caught that, but anyway, my objects equals every scene, or every character, every light, every model in the scene. So, see you guys in the next one, and yeah.